I'm going to talk to you now about using a pencil to create tone. So I've got a little page here in my sketchbook which I'm devoting to trials, and I'd like you to have the same thing in your own sketchbooks. So I'm using here a 2B pencil. You can use any B pencil. The one that you'll most probably find most quickly at home is going to be an HB pencil. You can use an HB pencil, but you won't be able to get quite such nice soft tones. Okay, I just want to draw your attention to the way that I'm holding my pencil here. So to draw my outlines and to define my shapes and to add texture and detail, I'd hold my pencil in the traditional way, the same way that you'd hold a pen, which is to hold it near the tip. And this means that you can vary the pressure. But to get this nice smooth tone that I've got here, this nice smooth even tone, which is picking up the grain in the paper, that's what the texture is. I held the pencil between my first and second finger, put my thumb on top so that I've got the whole of the pencil layer touching the paper, and then I built up the tone using layers. Okay, you might find it easier to use it like that. Depends. So there is no hard, fast way of holding your pencil, but you want to be able to get the whole pencil lead touching the piece of paper, and obviously to do that you need to be able to have a fairly long, sharp pencil lead as well, so I would just sharpen your pencil before you start working. Okay, so that's just straightforward blending. I'm now going to show you how to smudge using a tortillon or a stump. So I've got one of these from this pack here, which is great if you've bought yourself an art pack. If not, if I can just show you how to roll yourself a stump. So to roll a stump, you're going to need some tape. I've got masking tape here, but sellotape's fine. You're going to need a piece of paper, and you're going to need a ruler. Okay, so just hold the ruler against the paper so that I've got a right angle here, which is a 90-degree angle. You want to rip it rather than cutting it so that you get a nice soft edge. Okay, and then I spend quite a lot of time at the beginning just making sure that I've got a really nice tightly rolled point on my stump, like that. And notice I'm holding it here, this side as well, just to really keep it controlled and keep it really nice and tight. And I'm rolling down as I go so that I get a point a bit like a pencil. Now I've done this with normal A4 paper because frankly that's what I've got. It is better actually, the thicker the paper you use the better it'll be. So this is going to be a very fine stump. Okay, and then I'm just ripped off a bit of tape. Probably would have been better if I'd had that ready first. And there we go, so I've got a little stump there. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so to use my stump, again, start off just defining your shape using the tip of your pencil. This pencil is very forgiving, but if you're using a harder pencil like an HB, you'll find that you need to almost immediately start holding your pencil like this so that you don't get lines in your tone. Okay, I've got a time lapse that I'm going to add on to the end of this video where I use pencil to draw a hand, and it just takes you through the process. So the first thing I do is add my darkest areas. Notice that I'm leaving half of that cone completely white, by the way, or paper coloured. You don't want to be covering your entire drawing with pencil tone, particularly when you're smudging. The whole point about smudging is that you are moving the pencil tone, smudging it across around your drawing. So you're smudging it from the dark areas into the light areas so you get that nice smooth graduation of tone, producing a really nice gradient. Okay. Just a reminder that the very darkest tones that you use should be reserved for the background generally. And by making those background tones, so this is the shadow that the cone would cast if it was sitting on a surface. By adding those darker tones in the background, you're going to make your shapes really stand out. Okay. And remember, when you're doing a tonal drawing, the really important thing is to try and ignore the colour. So just because something's black, for example, doesn't mean that they're going to be the darkest tonal area. Things that stick out should be lighter. So if you think about a portrait, your nose should be one of the lightest, or particularly the tip of your nose should be one of the lightest aspects of the drawing, because it sticks out the furthest. Okay, so I'm going to start adding tone to this part of a finger here. So the darkest tones in the crease, and maybe a little bit round here because the nail's set into the nail bed, so a bit there. Got quite a lot of tone going on here because this is the knuckle. I'm going to use the pencil on its side again here. So you can see when I'm doing a tonal drawing, I just sort of flip from working with the pencil on its side to working with the tip of the pencil. So I've got my base tones on there, I'm quite happy with those. So now I'm just going to start smudging those so I get a nice smooth, because this is, I want a skin texture. Okay. Again, notice how I've left some areas completely untouched by pencil, completely white, and yet when I start smudging, those pretty quickly fill up. Okay, notice that also that when I start smudging, I have this issue, which is that everything looks a bit more fuzzy. So I'm now going to use an HB pencil because it's a bit sharper, it's a bit less smudgy, and I'm just going to start defining some of the areas that I know are darker. And basically, using this sharp pencil, I'm just going to be adding a little bit of texture. I mean, skin is fairly smooth, but there are textures in there. There are bits of fine detail. So, you know, a little bit of hatching is going on here. If you're using hatching, don't forget to use directional lines. So look at the object that you're drawing. Think about following the lines, the lines of the shape. Try to blend it in if it's looking a bit patchy, which it is for me. Some of those creases around the knuckles. Okay. And if you think, oh, which I am thinking, by the way, if you're thinking, oh, well, I've gone a bit overboard with that, those lines are a bit extreme, and you can bring your stump tortillon in and just go over those a little bit more. The other thing you can use, which I don't think I've got any of here, if you've got large areas that you want to smooth over, this is probably not the right tool for that. You want to be using either a rag or a tissue. You can approach those larger areas. So that's blending, smudging, detail, and texture. Using an HB pencil, a 2B pencil, a rubber, and a tortillon. Okay, good luck. Thanks.